Welcome. How is everyone doing? This is the RambleCast. It is September 11th, 2025. I know, a date that shall forever live in infamy. The day, not the year. But never know. Day's not over. So, how is everyone doing? I'm your host, Cody Toombs. There is no Corbin Davenport today. As I understand it, he is evading the law yet again. Yep, that's just how it goes. Rumor has it he may be making some announcements. Might be taking credit for something. Don't know. Just, rumors. Yeah, so I'm gonna be taking this one solo, which, hey, you know what? That's not the worst thing in the world. That means that I can go straight into the news. Got the tie going, ready to go. Let's start off with this one. We'll call this tech news. Italian technology conglomerate Bending Spoons is set to acquire streaming video platform Vimeo for a reported $1.38 billion in an all-cash deal that's set to close by the end of 2025. Bending Spoons is known for buying up companies, firing most of the staff, and enacting strict changes that are primarily designed to drive away freemium customers. Examples include Evernote, Meetup, WeTransfer, and Brightcove, all of which have been former, we'll say, victims of Bending Spoons. People passing by Vimeo's New York City office reported hearing Philip Moyer, the company's CEO, loudly yelling that if YouTube doesn't have the balls to finish killing Vimeo, he'll leave it up to the Italians. Switching to entertainment news, David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, announced intentions to raise prices for HBO Max. The current subscription prices are set at $9.99 per month for a plan with ads, and $20.99 for an ad-free tier. Those passing by Zaslav's office reported hearing him say that if Netflix and Apple don't have the balls to finish killing HBO, he'll do it himself. And finally, I completely forgot to change to an image of Mr. Zaslav. My bad. I would hate to give Vimeo credit on that one. And finally, less than 24 hours later, reports surfaced that Paramount Skydance is preparing a bid to buy Warner Bros. Discovery. Without being asked for comment, David Ellison, CEO of Paramount Skydance and son of Oracle founder Larry Ellison, told the press, quote, "I have the balls to kill HBO. Hear that, Daddy? I have the balls." That has been the news. Breaking the law. Anyway, so yeah, had to go with the sillies today. Let's see. So, what has happened this week? Plenty of events have happened. Fortunately, we don't have to talk about those, but I do think we should take a moment. Just, we have to have a moment of silence and just, acknowledge a loss in the world. This week, we lost a important thing. Apple's balls. That's right. Apple's balls did not make it through this week, and they gave in and decided to push really one of the least inspiring events I think I've seen in quite some time. Which is wild to say, given their AI ambitions were not exactly stellar. But hey, that's just the way it goes. See, I can quote songs from the 90s too. Actually, that's the way love goes. Hey, I can screw up song quotes from the 90s. Let's see. So anyway, where do we start on this one? I suppose TNT Sports is going to CBS Sports. I'll have to take your word for it. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a weird, man. Entertainment's gonna be such a weird space soon if the Ellisons manage to destroy HBO. Man, it's gonna get ugly. Anyway, so talk about handing everything to Apple. All Apple has to do is sit back and not screw up. And basically, between Netflix kind of being cheap and HBO surely being destroyed by Paramount Skydance, man, it's not going to take a whole lot of time before Apple TV is the premier streaming service. Oh, I guess there's Disney, but let's be honest, Disney's going to kind of waffle between doing really great stuff and then throwing it all away. Anyway, so I suppose we should start with the watches. Not a lot really interesting. The watches, I would say, were pretty much just iterative updates for the most part. Hey Diablo, how's it going? You missed the news. You can always obviously go back and watch it. Anyway, so let's see. Apple started the event with the obligatory and ultimately cringy situation where, yes, they had to show a bunch of videos highlighting, of all things, that you'll die if you don't own an Apple Watch. Yep, it's a fact. You will in fact not survive the month if you don't own an Apple Watch. That I'm pretty sure was exactly the message Apple was sending to all people watching the event. Yeah, so they brought out apparently hypertension notifications. That's going to be one of their big new features, where they claim, I believe they're expecting to give roughly 1 million people with undiagnosed hypertension a warning that they are going to die soon, which will, I'm sure, do nothing to inflame issues with hypertension. Oh boy. The leveling stuff is so weird. Because Alyssa has obviously been commenting more, but maybe it's trying to give preferential treatment to new arrivals. I have no idea how it works. I'm not going to try to guess. Anyway. So, yeah, let's see. They brought out the hypertension notifications. David, you missed it, man. It already happened. That was, let's see, 10 minutes ago ish. It is YouTube. You can always rewind and watch it and play it at like double speed. Don't play it at double speed. Play it at like 1 1/4 or 1 1/2. Anyway, so let's see. The Apple Watch. And let's be honest, I'm talking about the Apple Watch. You got time. Nothing interesting is happening here. Anyway, so they also highlighted that they're now bragging about 24-hour battery life, a feat that, of course, Android watches have been able to claim for quite some time, despite offering, special rare features like customizable watch faces. Yes, I do. Hey, yes, the Blue Moon shirt. Actually, funny enough, I got this when I was no longer a bartender. I was out one night with some friends in another city. There was a Blue Moon rep at a bar trying to get people to drink this stuff. And I don't remember if he actually required that we drank any of it. I think we had to try it or something, and then he just gave away shirts to anyone who, I think, tried it. So yeah, I walked away with a Blue Moon shirt. It is a beer. It's about the most I can say about it. And as far as the shirt goes, it is what I consider one of my junk shirts. But I felt like that was a nice touch to go with the tie. Because so far I have made a point of either having a tie loose or wearing it somehow disheveled. This time I thought I would go the other way around, wear the tie correctly, and just wear a junk shirt. Yes. Oh, yeah. No. I see. Okay, so the place I worked, we didn't have Blue Moon, but I do very specifically remember every place that had Blue Moon, they always had to have oranges. Yep, that's very much a thing. Just like you can't have Corona without the lime, you have to have Blue Moon with the orange. Trying to remember, there was one of them that you're supposed to have with the lemon, and I can't think of who that was. I know it wasn't Hef. Or was it Hef? I don't know. It's been ages. Anyway, let's see. So, 24-hour battery life on the Apple Watch Series 11. The glass on the cover of the watch is now going to be a little bit more angled, and apparently it's more scratch resistant thanks to a ceramic coating, so good for them on that. Trying to remember, was there anything else special? Oh yeah. Okay, and then of course the thing that we have to make fun of, 5G. They're putting 5G in a watch. All right, I apologize, I don't remember who brought it up, but someone made a fantastic point. It's possible that they're putting 5G in as a future-proofing thing. Basically, just because there are going to be some areas where, shocker, 5G might actually be your only coverage. Or, as they shut down older technologies, there will come a time when 5G is the lowest speed technology that's available. Now, the catch to that, obviously, is there will be no Apple Watches running when that time comes. No one will be replacing the batteries. They'll just simply replace the watches by then. So I don't know if future-proofing is really the right answer, but I do think there might be something to the possibility that there are going to actually be areas where 5G is the only service available. This is... even around me, there are actually a few spots that are like that. Does it use its own Apple modem? You know what? Actually, I don't recall. I think it does, but I really am not as confident as I'd like to be. Let's see. Do they mention it in here? I don't think they do. I don't see the word modem showing up, so I'm going to go with no. But I really don't know with certainty. It'd be kind of nice if they actually said that. Oops. Damn it, I just accidentally. Okay, let's delete that. Okay, I accidentally downloaded the image. All right, anyway. And then, let's see, they also announced the Apple Watch Ultra 3. This is, they already had an emergency SOS feature. I'm not really sure what that's about. They're going to push to 42-hour battery life, which I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, guys, you were 6 hours away. 6 hours. Find a way to eke out that last little bit. Hit the 48-hour battery life. You can do it. And if you can't, it's just not good enough. You have let down your family, your friends, everyone you know. by not hitting that 48-hour time. It just is what it is. Anyway, the Watch Ultra, let's see. I honestly completely tuned out on this section. I don't remember a whole lot about it. Okay, yeah. So they improved, again, the display technology. Oh, this one's the one where they angled the screen more. My bad. I thought that was both of them. Anyway, so they did minor things. Honestly, the Watch Ultra, they're bragging about the satellite communication, which, okay, your watch can talk to a satellite. That's fantastic. They did not give any sort of specifics about how well it can communicate, what you have to do. Obviously, you'll probably have to angle it towards satellites, much like you did with the first iPhone to support this. But outside of that, I'm not really convinced that this is going to work very well. Maybe if you're climbing and have no obstructions at all, it might do okay. But I have a feeling that the further you are from satellites, even by relatively small margins, the watch probably is not equipped to really send the strongest signal. So we'll see what happens. All right. So again, the hypertension notifications, sleep score, all that's kind of been there. The advanced fitness features, again, just basically kind of a repeat. Yeah, all of this stuff is things that they already had in some form or another. They didn't really add anything. Okay, so let's switch back. The AirPods Pro 3. This, if I recall, yeah, so they claim that they have upgraded the active noise cancellation, which, okay, it was fine before by most accounts, not the best in the market. This is supposedly twice as good, which I don't know how you really judge what twice as good noise cancellation means, but by whatever metric they are using, supposedly they're there. I'm sure when reviews hit, we'll find out what people actually think of them. To my knowledge, and I don't know, I haven't been looking for them, but to my knowledge, there aren't reviews out for this yet. I have a feeling people are probably going to come down saying it's better, but it's not the best. At which point, obviously, you're gonna have people bringing up examples like Sony, JBL, and a few others that have generally been seen as having some of the best in the market. Let's see. The other major addition was live translation, I believe. Oh yeah, they did brag about a new in-ear design, which, okay. Workout ready performance, which does remind me, they added, if I remember, heart rate detection. Am I wrong on that? I don't believe I am. Am I? Or did I skip over it? Workout ready performance. Okay, yeah. So they are registering some amount of health stats. I'm not exactly sure what those were. Okay, yeah, it's just a heart rate sensor. So, okay, you know, it is what it is. A heart rate sensor is fine. I don't see anything wrong with putting that in some earbuds. It is kind of interesting because it's also going to drain battery life a bit, but so it goes. Anyway, they did add live translation, and I guess good for Apple. Everyone has this. That is kind of the catch. Everybody already has this. And when I say everyone, I don't just mean Google. I mean, pretty much everyone has done live translation, as long as they're a moderately large company. Google was one of the early companies to do this, but there are probably about a dozen others that have live translation somewhere, somehow built into either their earbuds or their headphones. So yeah, it's good Apple's doing this. I'm not knocking for it, but they spend a lot of time really highlighting that this is a feature, and I kind of think it's sort of like bragging about being the last one to show up to the party. And I'm not sure that's really the win that they think it is. I can't remember what company it was, but I saw somebody announcing that they had added live translation to their product not too long ago. Not too long being like early this year. And their announcement about live translation was literally, we've added live translation. Now you can speak in, I think they were only highlighting like maybe 6 languages. But yeah, it was about a handful or, so of languages. And Apple's is only going to be, 8? English, French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish. That's 5 up front, and then 4 more languages by the end of the year. Italian, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Simplified Chinese. So, all things considered, yeah, it's good. Oh, I was saying that one company, I remember their announcement about this. They took like a minute. It was literally like a minute to say, we've added live translation. It's going to cover these languages. We'll be adding more soon. And they didn't, if I recall, they didn't bother with a demo. Like they recognize no one really cares about this anymore. It's neat to have it. It's worth having. It's a worthwhile feature, but spending a lot of time bragging about it is kind of dunking on yourself for being the last one to show up at that party. So not sure that one's really a big win on that one. Okay. And that was it for the AirPods Pro. I forgot. Was there something on the Watch SE3? I don't think there was. Now offers advanced health capabilities, always on display, fast charging, and more. Okay. Yeah, those were the highlights. It was basically they brought features that other watches had down to the SE. So good for them, but not really a big thing for talking. Okay, so we're done with the watches. We're done with the AirPods. Let's get to the meat of this one. It's iPhone time. By the way, I'm going to fly through this today, so yeah. All right. So, iPhone 17. They brought in, I can just kind of read what's up there because they didn't spend a lot of time actually talking about the iPhone 17 itself. They brought the center stage front camera feature. They upgraded the display and sped it up, so it now qualifies as ProMotion, and they upgraded to the A19 chip. So those were really the big hardware features. We're going to talk about some of the downgrades because there are a few. In fact, I forgot to bring this up in advance, but I should probably start pulling up some of the specs. Oh, wait, they don't have specs on there yet. iFixit, I think, had iPhone 17 specs. Make sure I've got this somewhere. Yeah. How much digging am I going to have to do to find this? I might give up on this very quickly. Come on, where's it at? Okay, they don't have it. How about, I think GSM Arena has this, but we should probably take that worth a grain of salt. So, okay, and let's pull up this one for comparison, and we'll pull up the Pro. We can skip the Max. All right, so the basic details, again, let's see. They basically upgraded the camera system. Was this one given the... Yes. So the iPhone 17 base model, cheers to this, is getting a square camera sensor. This is front and back, I believe. I do know it's front. That much is said right here. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, why is this special? You can basically take a picture of somebody with your phone in portrait orientation or landscape orientation, and when you go to choose a crop for this, when you decide that you're going to edit this and show or post a crop to, let's say, Instagram or Facebook, you can crop to portrait. If you decide that you're going to post it somewhere else where landscape orientation makes more sense, you can crop to landscape. And in both of these cases, you don't have to zoom in order to do that crop. Basically, you are just getting the square image, which as long as you have enough pixels on the edges to crop away, you're not losing any, or you don't have to lose anything on the other orientation. So that's nice. It's not as special as it necessarily sounds, but it's not a bad thing either. In my opinion, the better feature, and I will demonstrate this a little bit just like this, and a lot of action cameras have started to adopt this. The better feature is you can basically do stabilized footage, digital stabilization, where it's more horizon balancing would be the better way to say it. But as you turn your camera a little bit in any orientation, it basically just zooms in a little bit on your sensor, and because it now has more pixels to work with in both orientations, it can basically make the image look balanced by just cropping away the right orientation on the pixels. It looks better. It makes the footage look nicer. This is actually a nice win that, for whatever reason, they didn't really talk about. So yeah, I kind of am surprised they didn't talk about the best part of adding this feature. Instead, they just wanted to focus on the fact that selfies can now be shot in basically either orientation and cropped later. Let's see. So what else did they do? They did, of course, repeat that lie from a few years ago, claiming that they now have multiple optical zoom levels built into their main camera. This is just simply false, but they keep saying it. Let's see what else. Again, they bumped up the refresh rate to 120 hertz. This is a Super Retina XDR display, so it is also capable of higher HDR HDR brightness zones and brightness in general. Again, just the speed of the refresh rate, so you get more lifelike movement, less blur out of the screen itself, that is. Let's see. They're hitting 3,000 nits peak outdoor brightness, which is excellent. That's at the brightness level where, let's say you're using your phone with like a DJI drone. You can easily use your phone just out in bright sunlight and still be able to see what's on the screen. That is an excellent thing to have. And with old phones, that was always a nightmare. That's why DJI used to have these. They used to have these shades that they would sell you that you could mount onto their controllers, and they basically covered the phone because phone screens just weren't bright enough to do this. Now they are, which is awesome. Let's see. Of course, they brought out the A19, which there's nothing to talk about. It is the most iterative of iterative chip updates. That's not a bad thing. It's good. They improved it. I'm not dogging on them for making it. It's just it has very, very little in the way to actually speak of. The one thing to speak of is the N1. That is their new wireless chip. It supports Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread. So cheers to that. That's pretty awesome. Apple finally getting their wireless game in check. Let's see. Oh, they are now going worldwide eSIM, I believe. Wait, is that correct? Maybe I'm mixing that up. I believe it is worldwide eSIM on the 17. Yes. So if you care about having a SIM card, you're not getting the 17. You could get a 17 Pro, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, if you want to go or if you don't want to go eSIM, do not get this phone. And I think we can very, very safely assert there will never be another day where eSIM is, where SIM cards are going to be in the base model iPhones. Let's see. They, of course, had to mention Apple Intelligence. They shouldn't have. They happened to mention liquid glass. They really shouldn't have. And let's see. New accessories. Was there? I didn't actually notice this. Oh yeah. That phone case. The Tech Weave or whatever it was called. It just looked uninteresting. But hey, whatever. I'm not gonna get super caught up in judging random accessories. Okay. Now, I really feel like we should probably highlight this one really important detail. Not in this moment, but it's going to come up. The iPhone 17 starts at $799. Remember that number. We're coming back to it aggressively. Diablo, you saw a neat thing. The cases have NFC. Then you put it on the phone. It helps. Oh, it themes the icons to the phone, or to the phone case. Yeah. I heard that they were doing something like that. I wasn't sure if that was going to be in all of them, but yeah, it is a neat feature when they have it. And it was something I want to say, didn't Google experiment with this at one point? Might have that wrong, but I thought they did. Maybe it was Samsung, but I thought somebody did it. Let's see. So anyway, why is this thing? Come on. There you go. Cool. All right. So that was pretty much the iPhone 17. There's not a lot to say about it. It's a phone. It exists. But it is an interesting phone, I think, in part because of the other big the new phone line that Apple announced, the iPhone Air. Oh boy, The iPhone Air. We have to talk about this. This is such a wild choice, in my opinion. I don't know what they were thinking, or if they were thinking, but they weren't thinking. So, okay. Let's see. I actually have... I want to bring out some images in a second. If I can find them. Actually, I want to bring out that one too. Hold on while I quickly organize some images, because there are some interesting demonstrations to make. Okay, we can pop that one out. I don't know that I'll use that one, but we definitely want this one. Okay, and let's go a little higher up. Sorry, I'm pulling these out of a chat room, so they prove a very useful point. Ah, here we go. That's exactly what I was looking for. Awesome. Okay. So, before we get into those, let's talk about what the iPhone Air does bring. So it is Apple's thinnest and lightest phone ever. They made it really freaking thin. That's all you can possibly say about it. It is really, really thin. You know, except it's not. Oh, oops. I just realized I have not been on, or I have had it focused on me this whole time. The camera, or at least for a bit. Anyway, yeah. The thing that they decided to do was make it really thin for most of the phone, but then leave this really prominent plateau for the camera. Why they did this is anyone's guess. It is certainly a choice. It's not a choice I would have made, but it is a choice. So what did they do here? First off, of course, they use the ceramic coating on the glass. So it is supposed to be pretty scratch proof, pretty durable, harder to damage in any specific ways. They decided to put in the A19 Pro, not the regular A19 chip that they just launched in the iPhone 17, but the Pro model of this, because why not? They also put in, of course, their N1 chip and their C1X chip. And we may come back to the C1X later. So, what do they do here? First, out of the gate, let's just highlight single camera. It is the main shooter. It's their 48 megapixel fusion camera. All the same features that they highlight from the base iPhone with this camera. So, you know, it is what it is. We'll be talking about, or I'm going to bring this back up again later. And I believe the front camera is, the front camera is the same. It is also a 48 megapixel fusion camera on the front. So your selfies are basically going to be identical between the Air and the regular. So good for them. They got that part right-ish. In case you're wondering, that's pretty much why there's this big blank space right here next to, or in between the camera and the flash. The selfie camera is fitting in that area. That's pretty much exactly why there's a giant blank space there. Let's see. So, and yes, they are hiding a few other things there, but a big part of it is just having that selfie camera stuck on the front side. Okay, so let's see. Obviously they made it super thin. Again, no one has had one in their hands that they're free to break. So, proper bin tests have not been executed, but I think we're all just waiting on the day that someone puts these inside of some skinny jeans and sits down just to find out, is Bindgate back? My bet, it's back. Let's see. Not a lot to say about the camera. It's basically the exact same camera that you get in the iPhone 17, the base iPhone 17. Again, it is the A19 Pro, which, if I remember correctly, has one more CPU core, and I think it's one more GPU core. I may have that wrong. It might be the same number. But I think they're higher in GPU cores. Let's see. And of course, it's supposedly going to be better at things like AI. Let's see. Of course, bringing back up the in-one chip. So again, you get Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread. The C1X is their cellular modem. And that's, it's basically just an upgrade to their, the C1 modem that they put into the iPhone. Was it that in the 16 Pro? No. Was that in the SE? I don't know. Whatever it was. It was the one that was announced early this year. I'm totally blanking on the name of that one right now. 16 Mini, maybe? I think it was 16 Mini. Anyway. So, again, they're bragging about the all-day battery life. We're going to talk about that. And this is for sure going to be an eSIM phone. It is eSIM only. I don't think anyone was really going to be surprised about that, because half the reason anyone talks about eSIM is because basically eSIMs, even though they're nano SIMs, despite being really tiny, are still big enough to take up a lot of space. So yeah, they wanted to get rid of that to afford more space for battery and other components. I actually get this one. I'm going to criticize removing SIM cards from normal phones, but if you're going to make something like the Air, go ahead. That justifies taking out the SIM card. Let's see, and then we get into accessories, and we don't care about the rest. Okay. So, first off, before we start talking about the Pro, I'm going to quickly... actually, I'll save that one for later. What I am going to highlight is basically the battery life, which the iPhone Air notoriously has kind of mediocre battery. Now, they say that it has all-day battery. I think that's a little bit of an ambitious claim. Let's see. I know I had brought this up, but I don't see it now. So let's pull up iPhone Air. The let's just hit view pricing, because I believe they put the specs. Do they not? Is that... Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, okay. They kind of want to hide this. So, here we go. So here's Apple's own comparison chart. Note that first column is dedicated to the 17 Pro, then the Air, then the 17, and then the 16E, because reasons. And 16E was the one that had the C1 chip. There we go. Anyway, you will notice the Pro has a whopping 39 hours of video playback battery life. Video playback is probably not the best tool for measuring this, but let's go with it. Their iPhone Air battery life, 27 hours. So you're 12 hours down. just going to the Air. That's kind of a lot. Just kind of really a lot. And then the base iPhone has still 30 hours. It's not a huge difference, but I would argue that's not nothing. That's pretty significant. So, yeah. It's interesting that they're putting out a phone that, by the way, reminder, the iPhone Air is going to cost $200 more than the iPhone 17. It's going to have less battery life, but it costs $200 more. Not only that, but remember, it also has one camera. This base iPhone, kind of more. Just more cameras. Definitely more cameras. So that's kind of not looking great in my book for the iPhone Air. Why people are going to want this, I'm not actually sure. Let's see. So yeah, those were all the actual features. So fundamentally, you're getting a phone that is going to have mediocre battery life. It's going to have probably less durability to it, at least against bending. It's going to be more expensive by $200. And basically, the only feature, notably the only feature it actually has is it's going to have the A19 Pro instead of the A19. Which, notably, they're also putting in the chip that is going to suck battery life a little bit more. Which raises the question, was that really the best choice on the phone that's also going to have a smaller battery? Now, nobody has really been testing these yet, so we don't know, or at least no one's acknowledged battery life properly yet in reviews. So we're going to have to wait and see what the battery life is actually going to be like, but pretty much everybody I know that has had any comments on this has said the same thing. There's no way that battery life is going to be good. In regular usage, I think almost everyone is expecting that the iPhone Air is probably going to have very likely to the tune of about a day of regular use battery life. Maybe. We'll see. Because regular use battery life is not, it's not going to be the same for everybody. And for a lot of people, that means pretty heavy use. Or relatively heavy use. And relatively heavy use does not give you, even on a regular iPhone, does not tend to give you all day battery life. At least in the sense of like 24-hour battery life. A lot of times that gives you more along the lines of kind of a hope you're happy with it, enjoy getting through the business day battery life. So we'll see. This is raising a lot of questions in my mind. How good is this actually going to be? I don't think we can know that. Now, the funny thing is, we need to talk about something else. We have to talk about the iPhone Air external battery. This thing is wild. So, it is, in fact, let's see. Wait, is this the right picture of it? Actually, I don't think this is. It doesn't matter. What I'm going to point out is, wait, did I? Yeah, I have it up here. So, okay, yeah, this is their MagSafe. I think the other one is their battery case. Anyway, this is the iPhone Air MagSafe battery. So Apple clearly recognizes this thing does not have great battery life. That's a given, right? I mean, right. So yeah, this is going to be a full-size battery that fits basically the entire size of the back of the iPhone Air. And yeah, it's just there to give extra battery life. Now, what's really kind of amusing is they highlight it is going to provide up to 65% additional charge to an iPhone Air. So, hey, congratulations. Your battery life actually can be fairly decent if you're willing to slap on this extra battery to keep it charged pretty much as often as you possibly can. Yeah. So you bought the thinnest phone you possibly can so that you can slap a battery on it and keep it there most of the time. Okay. That's a choice. It's not a very good one, but it is a choice. Also, very notably, in my experience, a lot of these MagSafe batteries tend to get at least reasonably warm when they're charging. So I don't know that you'd want to keep this packed away anywhere, but whatever. That's up to you. There is an interesting detail here, though. For those who feel compelled to click on things, you may have noticed this right here. Compatibility. It's interesting because this box is closed. Let's open it. What models is the MagSafe battery compatible with? Just the iPhone Air. That's right. This battery is only compatible with the iPhone Air because of this. Right here. Look at where the camera modules are. And look at where the battery goes up to. It's practically tipping, like it's almost touching the camera module. That giant camera plateau. Yeah, it has to go right up to that in order to offer that kind of battery life. The other iPhones have their cameras situated so this literally cannot fit on the back of them. The only way they could get this thing up to a 65% expansion on your battery life is basically because this thing takes like an extra 15 to 20% of space on the back of the phone. That's how scuffed this situation is becoming. They're basically eking out everything in order to make a battery that is only good for one model of phone, and probably only good for one model of phone ever. So, yep, this is very likely one of Apple's least environmentally efficient accessories that they've ever made. They may as well just go back to making leather cases made from the skin of actual children. Cha-ching, yeah. Yeah, it is also a very expensive battery at $99. But hey, it is what it is. It's not like you can't go on Amazon in like a month and buy a dozen of these for that same price. Oh, Apple, why you do this? Anyway, so that's the iPhone Air. Remember, if you want to get it, you're going to spend $200 more. Give up it. You're going to spend $200 more. You're going to get worse battery life. Footnote to come. You're going to give up a whole camera to do it. You're probably giving up durability. But if you want, you can spend another whole $100. Sorry, a whole $99 to get more battery life. You can, for $300 over the price of the iPhone 17, have more battery life. You're still down a camera. You're still down some other stuff, but you can, in fact, do it if you want. Good job, Apple. You made a terrible product. But let's turn to the iPhone 17. Actually, before we do, just because I kind of want to close this tab and be done with it, I want to highlight, here are the sizes of the different iPhones. 17 on the left, the 17 Pro just to the right of that. They're basically identical, almost. If you get in real close, you can see that they're not exactly identical. They are so narrowly different that it takes zooming in to see that difference. But, yeah, they are slightly different sized screens. And then the Air fits right in between the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. I saw a lot of conversations about this, so I feel the need to highlight it. There are a lot of people who were specifically asking for what would effectively be a smaller Pro. And ironically, the 17 Pro is basically the smaller Pro. It's as small as you can go to have a iPhone 17 Pro. Or, well, the Pro features. The Air is effectively a 17 Max, except worse. It's actually worse than the 17 in every way except for the processor. So why they're doing this, again, I don't know. But they are. Okay, now we've kind of bullied that issue as much as I think we need to. Let me close a couple of tabs real quick just to get those out of the way. And we can close that. Cool. Okay, so turning to the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, because we don't need to exclude anybody here. So what did they do here? It's pretty much all the changes that the iPhone 17 made, plus they did make a couple of changes to one, the body itself. They went with an or a unibody aluminum design, which, okay, sure, why not? That's kind of a neat change, I guess. I don't think people are really going to notice that a whole lot, but it could help. Let's see. It actually, in all fairness, it probably will help quite a bit with heat dissipation, but we'll see. This has the same display as the iPhone 17, so there's no longer a separation between those two. The 17, you may remember these numbers, had a 3000 nit peak outdoor brightness and 120 hertz ProMotion display, so no difference there. Both have the same ceramic coating on the glass. They both constitute Super Retina XDR, so this is all identical. Let's see. Again, this has the A19 Pro, which, again, it's a higher CPU core. Maybe it was higher GPU core. Again, I'd have to check that. I totally forgot what the GPU core count was. And let's see. They have the N1 chip on this as well. Do they have the C1X? It's not listed here. So Apple was highlighting their new modem, and they didn't put it on their highest end phone. That's interesting. I actually had forgotten to look into that. That's really interesting to me. Why would they do that? Either they don't want to take the risk, and a risk-averse Apple is fine, or maybe this is a subtle admission that, yeah, it's not quite there yet. It's good, but maybe it's not as good as Qualcomm's modem. Regardless, let's see. The camera system, that was, in my opinion, probably their biggest real improvement. Because all told, it didn't really change that much. It does look nicer. Wait, what was that sound? Why did I just get that sound? Oh, that's gonna bug me. I just heard. Oh, wait, was it? Oh, okay. Never mind. I know what it is. All right. Familiar sound really confused the hell out of me for a second. Anyway, yeah. So, again, this has the square cameras. All three of them are going to be square cameras, which, yay for that. Congratulations, Apple. You actually did a pretty good one there. What I'm unclear on is whether or not they're actually identical truly identical camera sensors. Let's see, it was on this screen. One of the things that they did, let's find it. So, yeah, they did highlight all of their cameras are 48 megapixel. Front and all three on the back are 48 megapixel sensors. They're all square sensors. Or at least that's what they implied. Now that I think about it, I don't know for sure that they said all of them are square sensors, but I believe they said that. Regardless, from the sound of it, these sound like identical sensors. That doesn't mean they are. They might have the same megapixel count, but that doesn't mean that they are the actual same size sensors. It doesn't mean they're the same sensors from the same companies. They could have sourced, let's say, their main sensor from, I don't know, let's just say Sony, and they could have sourced the other sensors from, let's say, Samsung. If that's the case, they don't get credit for what I'm about to say. But if they did source all of these sensors from the same companies, they're the same sensors, this does one favor for Apple. And most people won't really know or understand this, but if you ever do comparisons and really look at colors, two sensors from different sources, even just different generations, can have different color rendering. This is actually kind of a big deal if you're ever trying to do like really precise, accurate color. And DJI actually highlighted this many years, or well, yeah, it was at this point we can say many years back when they released, I want to say it was the Air 3S. I could have that wrong. Anyway, the really cool thing about that drone was it had identical sensors for both the telephoto and the wide angle and the telephoto cameras. The thing is, on previous drones that they had released that had multiple cameras, if you were to point the camera at one thing and then flip to a different camera where the sensors were not a match, the colors would look slightly different. Now, it wasn't a huge difference, and most people, unless you're told to look for it, will never see it. And some people, their eyes just can't pick up some differences anyway. I mean, color blindness is a thing. But if you have matched sensors, they pretty much will always produce identical colors. And that actually is kind of a big deal. At least if you care about the footage looking the same between two different shots taken at different focal lengths. So, strictly speaking, I think this could be a great thing for anyone who is trying to do professional footage on an iPhone, assuming that they are matches. We don't know that yet, and until somebody sits down and actually does a proper test of this, I don't think we're going to know. So to that point, DxO, get on it. And if not DxO, I know frankly a few of the camera YouTubers. I'll trust them on this one because somebody will check this and prove one way or the other. Worst case scenario, I fix it. Would you be cool with tearing one of these things truly apart and telling us if they're the same sensors? I imagine there will be markings on the chips. There should be. Anyway, so let's see. What else did they do? Same with the center stage stuff. Nothing new with that. The industry leading video capabilities. Yes. Okay, so last year they announced support for ACES. People mostly in here are not going to know what ACES is. You shouldn't. Knowing what ACES is would be crazy. But the simple version is it is a color management thing. It is effectively color space that has some extra data to it. And if you're trying to do Hollywood level productions, having support for ACES is kind of awesome. It makes it so much easier to take footage from, let's say, 6 different cameras, bring it all into one place, and make them look like it all came from the same camera. Now, you can't just do this automatically. It takes a lot of work, but ACES makes that so much easier than doing anything with a lot of the other formats. Let's see. They, of course, have had Dolby Vision HDR recording. They had 4K 120 already. They had ProRes Log already. The new thing that they are able to announce is ProRes RAW. Hey, David, how's it going? Let's see. And now David's number 1. Yeah, so, something about their system's really weird. I don't know how this works. And you were in here earlier. Did you? I take it you drove home and just got home. And okay, so before I talk about ProRes RAW, Diablo, you asked, do we think Google or any other Android maker will copy Square and same sensors across the board anytime soon? Damn, that is a great question. So first off, I'll just say Google is not going to do it. And just out on a limb here, I don't think Google's going to be the one to do that first. Samsung might, but I feel like Samsung is starting to get deeper and deeper into the corner cutting thing. So I don't know. Now, if any company is going to do it, and I know this one almost deserves an eye roll because I don't think anyone cares. But if any company is going to do it, it's going to be Sony. I think Sony is likely to be the first Android maker who's going to pop up and say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to put matching sensors everywhere on our phone. Because they're the company that's already willing to make other sacrifices to do this. And David, okay, you bring up the Chinese companies, and I was kind of avoiding mentioning them specifically at first because I want to focus on the ones that we'll be able to get. But yes, Xiaomi 100% is going to jump on this because they've been at the forefront of pretty much all of the camera work in the last few years in China. And frankly, yeah, it just feels like a foregone conclusion. They're probably going to be the first to do this. It's a possibility they won't be, but they will be. And whether or not it will be same sensors or Square sensors, I'm not sure which of those things will pop first. I'm not going to bet on either one of them being the first. I just think there's a good chance it will be one of them before the other. A company that cares a little bit more about stabilization is going to go Square sensor first. And a company that cares a lot about color rendering, and you know what? Right here, I'm just going to make my bet because nobody cares about color rendering. Not to that level. So that's the thing that will come later. The only reason why I'm not totally sure on that, though, is it doesn't have to just be about color rendering. There could also just be the advantage that somebody might say, you know what? We're already going to the trouble of making these Square sensors. We may as well also do same sensors across the board. Or possibly they'll just say, you know what? We may as well just do the same resolution sensors. And then they just might say, fine, let's make them identical sensors. It's just easier to support one sensor twice than it is to pick 2 separate sensors. Also they can save like 75 cents on the production. Doesn't Apple use Sony sensors? I believe they use a mix. I could be wrong on that. I'm not anywhere near as sure of that as I'd like to be. Do we have... let's see. If I look up iPhone 16 Pro... Pro has... Does DxO Mark list this? Yeah, they don't. I'm not totally sure. I know at one time Apple was using Sony sensors. I don't know if they still do. And strictly speaking, it doesn't matter. Because as long as they're willing to order a large enough large enough batch, Sony and Samsung would both happily make square sensors for them. That's a non-issue. But anyway. So, let's see. Yeah, getting back to ProRes RAW. Now, how to describe this? If you've ever taken, and I've explained it this way before, it's kind of the only good way to explain this. If you've ever taken a photo with your phone and had it set to capture both the JPEG and the RAW, capturing the RAW leaves you with a file that's probably about 24-ish megs large, while capturing the JPEG, it probably gives you something that's about 3 megs, give or take about a megabyte. The same situation exists in video, except with caveats. If you were to take video in, let's say, if you were taking video and wanted to get something that is similar to capturing the JPEG, then you would shoot in, let's say, H.265 or H.264. What this is doing is it's basically capturing the image in a RAW format. It passes it through the image signal processor, the ISP, and then spits out something that is then actually further encoded down even more. And that's how you end up with a JPEG, or if we're talking video, something like H.264 or H.265. Apple released ProRes support in, 3 years ago, I think. ProRes is a little harder to define in terms of a photo. But imagine that instead of capturing the RAW or the JPEG, you're capturing something in between. You're getting a lot more data, but it is not all of the data that the RAW image has. It is effectively uncompressed. It is still compressed, but it's a lot closer to uncompressed. And again, it does give up some of the data, but it's pretty good. ProRes RAW is the exact opposite of that. It's all of it. ProRes RAW is literally all of the raw data that the sensor captures, and it's just recorded as that. Period. It's just all of it. So raw recordings of video are awesome. They let you do a lot of pretty wild things in post. Some of the things, just to give an example, if you've ever fiddled with the white balance of a photo, the same is true with video, but let's stick to photos here because more people have this experience. That's typically where you, a lot of times in a raw editor, you have basically like an eyedropper tool, and you're supposed to point to something that is white. Well, white or gray or something like that. Something that has no color to it is just supposed to be as white or as gray as it can be. And the software will basically just change the color temperature of the image and make it look like it had a truly neutral light on it. This is something that if you were to try doing this with video that's been in H.264, or whatever, some sort of compressed video, you don't get that same result. You can certainly use tools like that, and you can get a lot closer to a neutral light, but it still affects it in a different way. It looks different. If you can see what RAW versus JPEG is like when you try using one of those tools, you can always tell that the RAW looks better at the end. It looks like the color was actually changed correctly, whereas whatever the compressed version is, it never looks quite right. Well, maybe not never. It sometimes looks very right, but it's less often. That's why ProRes RAW makes a difference. The fact is, it just has more color data. It's capable of being tweaked and adjusted more. And it also has more detail data because it's not trying to like merge together two pixels with the same color or things like that. It literally has just got all of the data that it picked up off the sensors. So ProRes RAW is kind of a big get. It's going to create huge files. Nobody should be using this unless you're trying to make like professional video or you have some special cases. But it is super cool that they have it, and I'm not gonna lie, kind of jealous ish. I will address that briefly in a little bit, but they're also announcing Log 2. Did they even talk about this? Because I don't even know what the hell Log 2 is supposed to be. Log 2 is, as far as I'm aware, not actually a thing. It's, I think, Apple's own term. And then they're also highlighting Genlock, which they highlighted in this video, where basically it is multiple cameras that can all be set up, and they are set up to take images at exactly the same time. That way you have no offset or glitchiness. And yeah, that allows for freeze frames like the one shown in that video. Because imagine if for a second you had a bunch of cameras that are all taking an image at exactly, or they're all recording at, I don't know, let's just say 60 frames per second. If these are all off by hundredths of a second, which if you're recording, let's say by hand, you're just hitting the button, they're all going to be off by some amount. Anyway, that's what Genlock is intended to prevent. It's basically a synchronization protocol that makes it so every single camera says, okay, we're all going to start at exactly the same time. That way, when each of us takes a frame, we're all capturing frames at precisely the same instant. So it is a cool feature, but it's a feature that no one is going to be using. It is going to get used on a handful of movie sets. Well, I should say handful probably per year. And that's about it. It's not the sort of thing that you're going to see massive numbers of people using, because it requires that you have dozens of iPhones. And that's just not realistic. So it is what it is. But it is cool that they added it. I'm not going to knock them for putting in a thing that's there just for bragging sake. I do think it is kind of funny. They brought up that Genlock is supported by the Blackmagic Design Camera Pro Dock. And note, they're done talking about Genlock with that part. And then ProRes RAW is supported by the Final Cut camera and Blackmagic camera. So, in other words, the default camera is not going to support this. You're going to have to go use the Final Cut camera or Blackmagic camera. And that's fine because I think both of those are free to use. I know Blackmagic camera is, I think Final Cut camera is too. It's just Final Cut Pro that you have to pay for. So that's fine. It'll be kind of interesting to see what sort of files are put out by Genlock, because I don't know if those have some special way to sync or not, but I guess we'll find out someday. ProRes RAW also is going to be supported by DaVinci Resolve. This was announced same day. It's finally happening. For those that don't know, ProRes RAW was, if I remember correctly, not supported by DaVinci Resolve. You had to convert it to, I believe you had to convert it to BRAW, which is Blackmagic RAW's, or Blackmagic's custom version, or one of the other RAW formats that they did support. Which, why do that if you need to use it in the software anyway? Just convert to Blackmagic RAW. It just makes more sense. That being said, ProRes RAW famously, like, this is one of those things you're only going to see it if you're following a bunch of industry people. But a lot of people complain about just how wonky Blackmagic RAW's camera, Blackmagic RAW, how wonky ProRes RAW conversion is, because colors never come out the way that they're supposed to. All these different tools have different ways of doing the conversion, and it's always a mess. So, yeah, just, it is what it is. But yeah, so moving on, we get to one of the fun topics. The iPhone 17 Pro is the only model that is still going to have a SIM card in any capacity. They're, of course, highlighting here that there are eSIM only models, but there are also going to be SIM models where they will have one eSIM and one regular SIM. So you can get those instead if you're willing to go to the trouble of basically finding an importer or finding someone who's selling imported models. Because as far as I'm aware, eSIM only models are going to be available in all of these places, which notably you can see includes the United States. And the eSIM model will apparently have a larger battery. I pulled this up earlier. Let's see if I can still find it. Let's see. Okay. Now, this is definitely take with a grain of salt, but GSM Arena claims that the difference in batteries between the Pro with or without eSIM is going to be actually pretty sizable. The eSIM model is going to have 4252, and the nano SIM model is going to come in at 3988. So, I mean, we're talking about a difference of about 270 milliamp hours. Is that huge? No, but depending on what you're doing, like, that's an extra, call it 8% battery life. That's not terrible. It's actually kind of a lot for just supposedly taking out the SIM tray. So we'll see. That actually might matter. And let's see. Moving down the list, they of course have to mention AI because of course they do. The accessories, blah blah blah. And so getting back to this one, the iPhone 17 Pro, oops, I did not mean for that to be a click. The iPhone 17 Pro is going to come in at $1099. Worth highlighting, $100 more than the iPhone Air. So now, if you wanted the iPhone Air to have the battery life of an iPhone 17 Pro, you'd have to pay an extra $100 for that external MagSafe battery. You would still be giving up a whole 2 cameras, not just one, but 2. And you're basically just coming up short on a few other things. Oh, apparently the even the GPU, you're getting less on the Air than you are on the Pro. Plus, the Pro has features like ProRes RAW, if you care about such things, which, let's be honest, if you care about that, you're going to get the Pro anyway. Like, you're not even looking at the Air. So, I'm sorry, but I can't find a reason for the Air to exist. That is a weird line to say out of context, but oh, plus, notably, yeah, I meant to bring this up too. The iPhone Air is still USB 2. Just saying that, I feel like I should be replacing my water with liquor. Like, why? Why, Apple? You don't have to do this to people. You can put USB 3 in your damn phones. It's okay. No one is going to come down hard on you for doing that. It is a choice you are making to deny people USB 3. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to find a place for the iPhone Air to exist. It's the only thing that it has that the Pro has is the chip, and it's not even the same chip really. So that's a weak point. The iPhone 17 Pro has more features, more qualities to it, basically same price effectively, because let's be honest, most people who buy the iPhone Air are probably going to need to get that MagSafe battery. So yeah, I don't get the reason anyone's going to choose the iPhone Air. The Pro looks decent. It's not a big upgrade over the 16 Pro. Just like the iPhone 17 is not actually that big of an upgrade over the iPhone 16. Both of these phones had relatively minor updates this year, and so I'm not really that enthusiastic about them. Don't get me wrong, there are things that I would like out of each of them, but I don't find them particularly compelling models. So yeah, I don't know. This feels like the weakest possible year for Apple's phone announcements. And the fact that the Air was their big announcement, and it is by pretty much any objective measure worse than the iPhone 17, the base model. And its only real perks are it's really thin, and it's sized somewhere between the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Like, that's it. That's the iPhone Air. That's why it's there, is to be a bit of a larger screen and to be really thin. And in every other way, it's basically worse than the iPhone 17. And in all other ways, it is worse than the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Unless, of course, again, you wanted the screen size somehow larger than the Pro, but not as large as the Pro Max. Then the iPhone 17 Air kind of starts sounding vaguely appealing, I guess. I don't get it. I just don't. I think Apple created the worst possible product in their lineup in years. And they're acting like it's a major accomplishment. Sorry, I'm not with you on this. I just cannot get with Apple's thinking here. And look, sometimes companies make products just so that they can say, "Yep, we made this thing just to prove we could." Okay, I guess I get that. But this is one where people are judging you for it. If you came out with it and said, "Yeah, we're going to make 1,000 of these because we don't think it's the right product for most people, but we wanted to make a special edition." Okay, you know what? It's weird, but go ahead. Take that money off of some crazy people who are willing to spend, $3,000 on the ultra thin iPhone. Okay, you can do that. I'm not going to judge anyone for that. Well, I'll judge the people that buy them, but not harshly. I don't even care. But the idea that Apple's coming out with this phone and it's going to sell in carrier stores, it's going to sell in stores all around the world, where a lot of people are going to walk in and not really understand how much you're giving up if you buy the Air versus either of the other categories of models. I don't like that. I feel like Apple's doing a disservice to customers by having this phone sitting on the same shelves next to an iPhone 17, a 17 Pro, and a 17 Pro Max. This is a bad choice. And I don't know that they're ever really going to get called out sufficiently for that, but I kind of hope they do. I have a funny feeling that when reviews come out for the iPhone Air, those are not going to be kind. In fact, if anything, I bet those are going to be as harsh as what I'm saying right now. Some of them. Most of them are going to be... anybody who is an Apple reviewer who gets review units from Apple, I think is probably going to pull a lot of punches here. Because Apple wants them to be generous to this phone, and they know that they're expected to be generous. That doesn't mean they can't still say some things negative about it, but I think a lot of people will have to pull punches. I don't think the same is going to be true with people who are objectively reviewing these later on. I think those people are pretty universally going to come down hard against the Air. And hopefully most of them will come down about as hard as I just did. This is a bad product, and Apple should really not have released it. Because let's be honest, it is giving most people not what they want, not what they need, but what they're being told is cool for the minute. And people will end up basically kind of making fun of it the same way that they did like the iPhone SE models. Anyway, so that is my take on Apple's announcement from earlier this week. They did things. They announced products. Those products, I don't think were that spectacular. They weren't bad. Well, the iPhone Air is kind of bad, but they weren't good. At least they weren't good enough. I did not look at this, so quick as I ramble. So I don't think that this was really the event that they wanted to be holding, given that it was a relatively short event. I think it clocked in at about 80 minutes, maybe a little less. I don't think that's what Apple wanted to... I don't think that's the event Apple had planned. I think they wanted to do something closer to at least an hour and a half, if not 2 hours. And I think they did not have all of the things ready to announce that they wanted to announce. In all likelihood, I bet they wanted to probably spend more time talking about AI, and that just wasn't going to come true. So I think they probably we're really shaken up this year. We're seeing what Apple looks like when they don't have everything kind of worked out and coordinated. So yeah, this was a rough one. This was a rough one for them. Let's see. Support for Apple Log 2, giving users the ability to record an even wider color gamut in ProRes or HEVC with iPhone 17 Pro. Users can apply the Log 2 LUT in Final Cut Pro for iPad and Mac to view and edit their footage with the vibrancy of the original scene. You could also just make that LUT available to everybody. And actually, honestly, it probably is, or someone will just have to extract it from Final Cut Pro, but kind of obnoxious that they say it that way. Actually, I'm going to look this up real quick. Apple Log 2 LUT. Do they have it available? And I'm assuming that LUT's probably also going to be in DaVinci Resolve. Which, just for giggles, I will start up right now and check. Okay. Quick search, I'm not coming up with the Log 2 LUT being downloadable anywhere. Okay, and there is a new version of DaVinci Resolve. Hooray. Let's see, how long is that going to take to download? 5 minutes. It'll probably go a little faster in a moment, but we'll see. Really curious if they're going to be jerks about that and not put it where it should go. But, yeah. Yeah, not really clear on... Ooh! They added timecode to Final Cut Camera. That's good. That's actually a really good feature. Support for anyone who doesn't know, timecode is a feature that basically you have to have something at a video shoot that is there to sync timecodes. It basically tells every device that's connected, hey, here's what time it is, copy me. And those devices will embed into their footage basically a recording of what time it currently is. That way, when you go back to sync audio, video, and whatever else, they're all really, really super easy to sync together, which is awesome. I've not really used it, but I've done enough syncing of footage that it is super annoying not to have it. Actually, you know what? Before I forget, actually, I'll just make a note of it down here. Okay. I want to go look for something that does timecode and see if I can ever pull, get something like that, either through an app or free or something like that. Anyway, support for video capture using the new 200mm telephoto camera using ProRes. Okay. Bogus, but whatever. Cool. So yeah, that was pretty much everything Apple announced yesterday, short of like their fitness features and stuff like that, which nothing was really new, nothing was really exciting. They just talked a lot about the same things that they already kind of usually do. So what did anybody else think? Is anyone getting anything? Is anyone planning to order any of this gear? I'm curious. I personally will not be, because I don't have the money for it. I would, if there was anything out of this list, it's a no-brainer. I would get the iPhone 17 Pro, probably Pro Max, but 17 Pro would work too. I'd like to be able to try out the camera stuff. I want to be able to use it for a few things, but I gotta say, I'm also not as excited about it because, David, maybe the orange is feeling sick. Okay, I get you. I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of not. Like, the orange looks nice because it's actually a saturated color. It looks good and interesting. It's something I want my eyes to be able to see. I just don't know if I want to see that color on my phone all the time. Counterpoint, I would put a case on my phone anyway, so does it matter? I mean, does it matter if that's what does it matter if you have this phone, if it's this phone always under a case? So I don't know. That to me is kind of the sticking point. Is I dig the color. I don't know if I would dig it enough to have it all the time, but I also wouldn't have it all the time. So does it even really matter? That's really hard to tell. Let's see. The other thing is, like, if I was to order a phone right now, and I know that it's kind of funny to say after all this, after having said repeatedly that the Pixel 10, was it all Pixel 10s or the Pixel 10 Pro? I don't remember. Anyway, after having said that I wasn't really feeling all that compelled to make an upgrade, yeah, that's turned around. I want the phone now. There is a feature in the new Pixel 10 Pro that I kind of really want. It's called, let's see. Can I find this quickly and easily? Okay, it is called, I knew the letters, but I couldn't remember exactly what they stood for. So it is called DCG. It stands for Dual Conversion Gain. So basically, this is a thing in a lot of high-end cameras already. Well, I shouldn't even say high-end. They're in the prosumer cameras. They basically have, man, it sort of sucks because there's another term that is called dual native ISO. Here's the thing. They're not identical technologies, but they're very much almost identical technologies. So what dual native ISO is they basically let a camera operate at two different ISOs, not simultaneously, but they operate at two different ISOs so that they can capture the data and basically, if you are sitting on any native ISO, when you capture data, you're probably capturing it with the least possible noise. When you leave your native ISO, you're going to get more noise. This is just an unfortunate reality of just how that works. Now, if you know enough about how RAW works, it is a different situation. RAW is capturing at the native ISO, and then you're applying ISO later. Which sounds like a weird thing to say, but it's actually true. So the noise that you end up with is what the sensor captures, or more or less. But when you apply the ISO for rendering, you're actually dealing with the side effect of the sensor and how it captured that data. And so you can actually end up with weird amounts of noise by applying different amounts of ISO when you're rendering your RAW. It's really weird. Now, what dual conversion gain does is it's actually allowing you to capture two different ISOs at the same time. I believe both of them are supposed to be native. I could be wrong on that. But the point is, what they basically did is they set up a sensor so that it is capturing that value and applying a calculation based on what the sensor captures using two different native ISOs. And that way it's able to reduce and remove a lot of noise and get a more accurate final image. Let's see if I can find... it's not that one. Oops. Okay. I just accidentally hid all my... okay, I don't want that one. What do I want? Where's it at? Is that too far back? Yeah, that's too far back. Where is it? Oh, I'm not going to be able to find it. Well, am I? Wait. Oh, damn it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to have an easy time finding this without doing a ton of scrolling, which really sucks. Maybe if I do this, that at least gets me back to about the right day. Okay, so the thing is, the resulting video footage is crazy how much less noise you get, even in kind of terribly lit situations, which is wild. And right now, the Pixel 10, or at least Pixel 10 Pro, I think it's Pixel 10, I think it's all Pixel 10s. They have this using a Samsung sensor, and I believe it is technically something that can probably be done on a Samsung phone, but I think you have to root it in order to enable it. And apparently, because the sensors are the same, or I think they're the same, this is likely something that can probably be done on the Pixel 9 Pro, but very likely only if it's rooted. Yep. Okay. So here's a video. I don't know how much you'll really be able to tell, but that first side was regular view, and the second was noise. Or sorry, with DCG. Then they switched sides because the people that made these video are kind of terrible at it. But yeah, here's a good comparison. Look at the amount of noise on the right side. That is what you would capture with a normal phone sensor capturing RAW. The left side, that is what DCG is able to do. That's not even close in terms of how they look. Like, the amount of noise that's on the right side in those leaves or on the sand, that is crazy difference. And right now, if, like I said, if I was to pick a phone that I want to get, it's now the Pixel 10 or Pixel 10 Pro for this. It's harder to see in those. I can see it on my screen, but I don't know how much the differences show up in some of these. Nevertheless, like you can just see so much noise on that right image. it looks horrible. And then the image on the left is super clear. It looks awesome. So, yeah, that is what I'd right now. If I was going to chase any phone, it's that one for this feature. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not planning on getting a iPhone 17 of any kind. Certainly not planning on watch or AirPods. So yeah, this event did not compel me to come over to the dark side. But I'm curious what other people say if they get this phone. So David, if you do, obviously say words. I'd like to hear what people are feeling about it when they get it. Not just reviewers, but I want to know what average, well, average is the wrong word. But I want to know what the non reviewer feels about that phone, because I'm really expecting a lot of people to get it and walk away going, wow, this is just like my last phone, but it cost money to get it, and my last phone was free as long as I keep using it. I'm just ballparking here. Maybe it won't be like that, but maybe it will be. Okay, so anyway, I think that about wraps up the topics for today. I somehow managed to hit 2 hours on what I felt was going to be a relatively short stream. I'm sort of impressed with myself. You're on the fence about it. I get that. It's funny because I wasn't on the fence at all about the Pixel 10 for a good week or so, and then I kind of got a little on the fence, a little tempted, and progressively I've gotten more and more wanting one. So hopefully there's a crazy Black Friday trade-in deal that I can take advantage of and get a basically free upgrade. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, so yeah, with that, I think I have hit the end of what I have to say, and pretty much about the end of what my voice can handle, because I have in fact been talking for basically 2 hours straight with basically just sips of water, and so my voice hurts. With that, I think it is a good time to go. Let's see. As always, huge thanks to... before I go, obviously I will be back next week with another RambleCast. We should have a Corbin back with us that time. In the meantime, this weekend, I will be playing some Overwatch. Because we're getting far enough into the season, I need to start climbing the competitive ladder on Stadium, so I'll probably be focusing on that. But hey, you never know. Maybe I'll go regular ranked, get my placements in. There are a few different things that I also need to do the Lucio Ball event, which, yeah, kind of, we'll see. I might do that offline because I find it so boring. Maybe it's better. Maybe I'll feel better about it this time. I don't know. And maybe I'll hop in and try to do it mouse and keyboard. We shall see. By the way, David, in case you missed this, console players can now play mouse and keyboard in Overwatch. It's a struggle for me. I have not used a mouse in forever. I've been using trackpads, trackballs, even styluses. I have not used an actual regular mouse for much of anything in years. Every once in a rare while, I would sit down to a computer and have to use a mouse for brief periods of time. Otherwise, I am shockingly out of practice with what seems like a standard thing. That's not to say that I haven't quickly gotten back into using a mouse. I've been playing a bit of Borderlands to kind of reacclimate myself to it. And I'm getting there quickly, but I'm not sure how quick I'll be with the Overwatch yet. But that could be a silly thing to watch. Okay, anyway. Let's see. Thanks again to everyone who came by, who chatted, who was here with me as I think back over and ramble about all things Apple, and of course make fun of all things HBO and Vimeo. Yes, Vimeo's still alive, but not for long. Go back to watch the news section if you have not seen it already, because yeah, had to make fun of things, and you'll see why. Let's see. Anyway, with that, I will be back this weekend. If anyone would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And of course, huge thanks to supporters of the channel: David, Diablo, Austin, Carson, and Alyssa. Oh, and by the way, I'm not ready to make it yet, but I have for sure an announcement coming soon, somewhere maybe a week from now, I think. Probably about a week from now. So actually maybe by the next RambleCast. We'll see. But yeah, I'll leave that one as a cliffhanger. So, again, thanks everyone for coming by. I will catch you all in the next one. Good night, everybody.